Do you ever worry about what you would feed yourself and your family if faced with tough times? Today I'll help you leave your worries of starvation behind as I tell you about 12 crops that you can grow during hard times and their history as survival crops. It's hard to avoid these days. Inflation is up and food insecurity is up too. Now I'm here to spread hope, not fear, and I hope that with today's video you'll move one step closer to self-sufficiency. Whether an apocalypse is looming or you're just having difficulty paying your bills and eating too, growing these 12 crops can be a lifesaver. Our first survival crop is the potato. The potato is a nutritional powerhouse that is high in carbohydrates, vitamin C, and potassium. Did you know that in early times, potatoes were a lifesaver because they prevented people from getting scurvy due to their vitamin C content? Sailors used to carry potatoes with them on long voyages to prevent this debilitating disease. You can grow them almost anywhere. They are relatively pest-free and don't require a lot of water. You can plant a potato in the ground and within 10 weeks you can have early or new potatoes. Or if you wait about 4 months, you can have fully mature potatoes. Just make sure that you save a few potatoes from your harvest to use as seed potatoes for your next crop. Sweet potatoes are another root vegetable that should be in every survival garden. They are a good source of vitamins A and C as well as fiber and potassium. During the wheat shortages of World War I, the USDA used sweet potato flour to stretch the wheat flour supplies. Albert Purell of North Carolina State University in Raleigh wrote that under ideal conditions, there is no other agricultural crop that can provide as much nutrition per acre in the growing season than sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are also relatively easy to grow. You can start them from slips, which are small pieces of sweet potato that have been rooted. Sweet potatoes are a versatile food that can be eaten baked, boiled, or mashed. Winter squash, like butternut squash, acorn squash, and spaghetti squash, are some of the easiest vegetables to grow and are an important part of any survival garden. They are a good source of vitamins A and C as well as fiber and potassium. Winter squash gets its name from the fact that it can be stored for a long time after it is harvested. Because of their tough skin, winter squash store for a long time, sometimes up to 6 months if stored properly in a cool, dark, and dry place. Winter squash is a versatile food that can be eaten baked, roasted, or pureed. Kale, the superfood that can survive almost anything. Our next survival crop is kale. Kale is a leafy green vegetable that is incredibly nutrient-rich. It's a good source of vitamins A, C, and K, as well as fiber, calcium, and iron. Kale is also very easy to grow. It can be grown in the ground or in containers. Kale is a cool weather crop that can withstand frost. Kale can be eaten raw in salads, but it can also be steamed, sautéed, or roasted. Spinach, the iron-rich crop that grows like a weed, in a good way. Spinach is another leafy green vegetable that should be in every survival garden. It's a good source of vitamins A, C, and K, as well as iron, folate, and magnesium. Spinach is also very easy to grow. It can be grown in the ground or in containers. Just make sure it has plenty of water and is not in direct sunlight all day long. Spinach is a cool weather crop that can be planted in early spring or late summer. Spinach can be eaten raw in salads, but it can also be steamed, sautéed, or added to soups and stews. Pumpkins, more than just a pretty face. Pumpkins are a type of squash that is native to North America. They are a good source of vitamins A and C, as well as fiber and potassium. Pumpkins are also relatively easy to grow. They can be grown from seed or from transplants. Pumpkins are a versatile food that can be eaten in many different ways. The flesh can be roasted, baked, or pureed. Beans, the magical fruit. Beans are a type of legume that is a good source of protein, fiber, and iron. They are a great addition to any survival garden. Beans are relatively easy to grow. They can be grown from seed or from transplants. Beans are a warm weather crop that should be planted after the last frost. There are 2 types of beans, bush beans and pole beans. Bush beans are the easiest to grow and don't require any supports. Pole beans, on the other hand, need a trellis or some other support to climb on. Beans can be eaten fresh, dried, or canned. Cabbage, the cold hardy crop that can survive almost anything. Cabbage is a leafy green vegetable that is a good source of vitamins C and K. It is a cool weather crop that can withstand frost. Cabbage is relatively easy to grow. It can be grown from seed or from transplants. Cabbage prefers full sun but can tolerate some shade. Cabbage is a versatile food that can be eaten raw, cooked, or fermented. Sauerkraut, a fermented cabbage dish, was a common food during the winter months when fresh produce was scarce. Onions, the ancient survival food that will make you cry. Tears of joy, of course. Onions are a type of bulb vegetable that is a good source of vitamin C, fiber, and potassium. They are a cool weather crop that can be planted in early spring or late summer. Onions are relatively easy to grow. They can be grown from seed, transplants, or sets. Onion sets are small, immature onion bulbs that are planted in the spring. Onions are a versatile food that can be eaten raw, cooked, or pickled. Onions add flavor to a multitude of dishes and are a must-have for an apocalypse garden. Turnips, the root vegetable that saved millions from starvation. Turnips are a type of root vegetable that is a good source of vitamin C, fiber, and potassium. They are a cool weather crop that can be planted in early spring or late summer. Turnips are relatively easy to grow. They can be grown from seed or from transplants. Turnips prefer full sun but can tolerate some shade. Both the turnip and the greens are edible, and the greens are incredibly nutritious. Turnips have saved millions of people from starvation over time, especially during World War I during the infamous turnip winter of 1917. Herbs, small but mighty flavor, and medicine. Herbs are a great addition to any survival garden. Not only do they add flavor to food, but many herbs also have medicinal properties. Herbs are relatively easy to grow. They can be grown from seed, transplants, or cuttings. Some of the best herbs to grow for survival include rosemary, thyme, and oregano. Rosemary is a good source of antioxidants and has been shown to improve cognitive function. Thyme is a natural antiseptic and has been shown to be effective against coughs and colds. Oregano is a natural antibacterial and has been shown to be effective against digestive problems. Herbs are great for growing during hard times because they provide seasoning for food and also serve as a small medicine cabinet. Perennials. Plant once, eat for years. Our last category of survival crops is not really a crop but a type of plant. Perennial plants are those that live for more than 2 years. This means that once you plant them, you can enjoy their fruits or vegetables for many years to come. Some great perennial survival crops to consider include asparagus, artichokes, berry bushes, and fruit trees. Asparagus is a perennial vegetable that can produce spears for up to 20 years. Artichokes are a perennial vegetable that can produce flower buds for up to 5 years. Berry bushes, such as blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries, can produce fruit for many years. Fruit trees, such as apple trees, pear trees, and peach trees, can take a few years to start producing fruit, but once they do, they can provide you with fruit for many years to come. Keep in mind that perennials like asparagus, artichokes, berry bushes, and fruit trees are food providers that you need to start today but will provide for years to come. So, there you have it, 12 essential survival crops that you can grow to help you survive even the toughest times. Gardening is not just about having a pretty yard. It's about becoming more self-sufficient and resilient. Gardening can be a great way to take control of your food supply, so I really hope that you'll give these crops a try. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more gardening tips and tricks. Have a great week.